Want another excuse to cook pork belly with crackle? Here it is. This is my Vietnamese banh mi with umami miso mayo. So I'm going to give you lots of tips to nail pork crackling at home on your barbecue. One of the keys to getting that crackling is really high heat as soon as it goes into the barbecue. So I'm just going to get that preheating. We'll preheat it on high for 25 minutes. Set yourself up with success by starting with a brilliant piece of pork. This is straight from the butcher, straight off the pig. Avoid getting pork that's been vacuum sealed in plastic because that's really hard to crackle. I'll show you how to dry it out in a moment if you do get that one though. Let's get into scoring. It's really important to use a sharp knife or blade just like this. Brilliant using a Stanley knife. You can set it to the exact depth that you want to go, about 3 mil deep so it goes through the rind just into the fat but not too deep into the flesh. When I'm scoring, I like to score at no more than 1 centimetre intervals. I also like to think ahead and think how I want to slice this pork belly. So I usually score exactly where I'm planning to slice. Makes it really easy to make sure each piece gets a piece of that crackle. I already know that I want to slice this into strips, but also then into nice portion sizes. So I'm just going to score along this length so it fits nice and neat in our buns. Because I'm sharing all of my secrets today, I want to show you, if you did buy a Krauvac piece of pork or if you have extra time, how to pre-dry it out in the fridge. So you just need a tray. It's really good to have one with a rack inside. So place the pork into the tray and then we can liberally apply salt. I like to use salt flakes or rock salt. The larger particles will help draw that moisture out rather than just fine salt will essentially brine the pork. So apply that on there, don't be shy. And what this will do is help to draw out that moisture. Once you've got that coating in there, you can place this into the fridge for 24 up to 48 hours, just like this, uncovered. Throughout that 24 to 48 hour period, you may want to check on your pork a couple of times, and if there's any pools of liquid on top of the pork roast, get in there with paper towel, dry it off, remove that moisture, and then reapply your salt. So this would usually go into the fridge if you wanted to do that process, but we are cooking this baby right away. So what I'm going to do, pretend we got this out of the fridge, is just get my paper towel, brush off that salt and any moisture. And then what we can do is coat it with a little oil and then get in with our salt again, but all over the roast. So I'll flip that over, get the oil on. I always like to finish with the presentation side whenever I'm oiling and seasoning. Alrighty, get my salt again. We want to make sure that meat is beautifully seasoned. How good is pork just with salt? It's delicious, especially when we have all those flavors of the banh mi in there. Then we can flip that over and again go in with some oil, just a light amount. We just want enough for that salt to stick. Again, going in with our salt and just making sure that we're rubbing it right into those score marks. So this is ready to go into the barbecue, but I have another hot tip for you. When pork belly cooks, it shrinks up. Usually the edges fold up, which means there is usually a concave in the center of the pork where juice usually pools and you don't get that crackle. So to prevent that from happening, what I like to use is either a roasting rack and drape the pork belly over it, or simply just scrunch up a log of foil, put that underneath the middle of the roast and let it fall just to the either side. The first 25 to 30 minutes is crucial to keep that intense high heat inside the barbecue. So really avoid peeking to have a look at it. Just leave the lid closed. You'll start to hear that crackling happening. And then in about 30 minutes, once that crackle has set, we're going to turn it down to the roasting setting. One of the traditional components to a banh mi is having that pate in there. Yes, it adds all kinds of delicious umami-ness, but I'm not a fan of pate, sorry guys. But I have an extremely delicious alternative. This is my Umami Miso Mayo. Super easy to make. All we need is some Kewpie, white miso paste, and soy sauce. So we've got our fatty, creamy flavor with the mayo, our funky umami with the miso, and then another layer of umami with the soy, but also that saltiness. just mix that together. Perfect. It hits all those delicious notes that you look for in pate, but less weird. Check out the heat coming out of that barbecue. I've been listening to it crackle. Let's check it out. Beautiful. That looks incredible. Now that the crackle has set, I'm just going to turn the barbecue down to our roasting setting. Perfect. And now we'll just come back and check it soon. It's time to check if our pork belly is done. Now what I'm looking for is a doneness temperature of at least 63 degrees. So stick one of these in to the thickest part, make sure it's 63 degrees or higher. Now with pork belly, you can go a lot higher than that because you've got extra fat content in there. So what we're really just looking for is rendered, beautiful fat, and then that beautiful crackling. So let's check it out. Check out that. That is exactly what I'm looking for. We've got our beautiful blistered crackle. It's completely set. You can hear that little knock test there. And then we've got our rendered fat just in there. Perfect. We'll leave this to rest for about 15 to 30 minutes and then we can get into slicing it. Time to get crack-a-lackin'. I'm cutting straight through the middle here. Yum. Check out that. Now I'm just going to slice it along those score lines into thin strips, and then we'll go through and cut it into mouth-sized pieces. Mouth-size, bite-size, whatever fits in your mouth. This is where the fun really starts, if we weren't having fun already, is assembling this bad boy. So go in with your crusty bread roll. If you want to bring your bread rolls back to life, just flick them with a bit of water and pop them back on the barbecue to make sure that bread is nice and warm and our outside is crusty. First, I'm just going in with a really decent amount of butter. We can add our Umami Mayo to 1/2. Look at that, oh my. Go in with our cucumber, pickled vegetables. So I have a mix of pickled carrot and pickled daikon here. Some coriander. We'll go in with our pork. Some pickled red onion. You can see those colours popping now. Lastly, some chili. Check out this balmy, crusty bread roll, perfectly crackled, succulent pork belly, pickled veg, umami mayo, pickled onion, coriander and chili. Delicious. No graceful way to do this, sorry. It's delicious. Cook it today.